And hello everybody, it is I, the Heroscaper, the one and only, and today we're finishing up opening the rest of Heroscape expansions, the Boiling Tensions story arc, as we have some of the remainder goodies. If you haven't watched the first part, definitely check that out if you're interested in seeing what some of the other units look out. But today we got a box of characters and some of the add-ons, some of the accessories that come with the game itself. So let's dive right in. All right, so first off, I've been wanting to open this for a bit. You can see I tried to sneak a peek, but I've waited until the actual filming to finally open these guys up. We have the Revenant, Acolytes, and Grave Grim. These are a series of undead, bolstering the ranks of Revna, the new general added to Heroscape. The back of the box text says, "From the hopeless and lost, the vengeful dead, those with nothing left arrive on Revna's doorstep, in search of a future. Many become her acolytes, bound by their oaths to rise from death each time they fall. Accompanying these fanatical followers are the lupine forms of grave grims, shepherds of dead souls from earth drawn to the mass of living death that follows in Revna's wake. Their howls are a warning and a curse to all who would defy her." So we definitely get a sense of Revna with this box as her identity is starting to shape. If you've studied kind of any bit of Norse mythology, which, you know, Heroscape draws a lot from, Revna definitely is taking the place of Hel or Hela in Norse mythology, where she kind of is the ruler of the unworthy dead. Traditionally, you know, like the heroes go to Valhalla, which is the name of the Heroscape planet where the main conflict takes place. But in Norse lore, the unworthy dead, those who didn't die in battle and died from other less worthy means, not necessarily evil, but not entirely noble means, are sent to the underworld where Hela reigns. I think Revna definitely falls in that spot, just kind of where life has a chance to continue again. I'm planning on making a deeper dive into Revna, because I think there's a lot to explore and understand her motivations, but for today, let's open this box and see what we got in store. All right, so just looking at these figures first. Nicely bound in plastic. We have the Grave Grim here, who is quite large. You know, he is the pictures don't do him justice, as he is intimidating size. Honestly, he could fit easily onto a bit too baser, but he's a really cool little guy. He's got Revna's logo on his little chain tag there. This is going to be a fun, easy guy to paint. I'm definitely looking forward to him, as the teeth are all modeled. Honestly, a lot of the details get lost in the pre-paints. They're fine if you just want to hop in and start playing. They get better with each release. I've seen some of the pre-paints, but there is just such bold, strong details in this. Honestly, I've noticed this with some of the other sets, and it seems moving forward, we're going less for the kind of micro details of the exiles and the knaves of AOA, and kind of going more to these broader details, more akin to classic Heroscape, which means I can get these things painted a lot faster, which is always a great thing. But I love the eye and the horns. Honestly, again, if you're looking for a fun D&D monster to throw into your campaign, this is a great add-on as well. Just as it's kind of, you can be some various forms of devil dog to add into it. And now let's look at the acolytes themselves. As they fly out of their packaging. All right, so we have number one. This is not broken. It just has one arm because he died. Couldn't afford couldn't afford. This one just has one arm, as he looks like he probably died in a past life. Couldn't afford the operation. I mean, it wasn't that expensive, I guess. It just cost an arm compared to an arm and a leg. But very interesting. We're kind of starting to get some skeletons. I can't tell if these are masked per se or they're actual skull heads. They're really big. I think their size is 5, but they have this very large presence. Like here's the Tanuki. So it looks like the scale is, usually you have detail creep. It looks like we're having a sort of scale creep to make these things a bit bigger and more prominent. And honestly, I don't mind that. They seem just a little bit bigger than in Heroscape. Let me pull up. Like here's Sergeant Drake on a jetpack. So they are significantly a larger scale, which I don't know how I feel on yet. But honestly, I like for painting larger scale is definitely a benefit compared to all those micro details. Yeah, again, you notice this detail decrease, which is a great thing compared to like compare it to Maladrix or not Maladrix. Compare it to Miserex. I have to think of her name for a second. Of just all these small details on the wings. It's great if you want to explore those details, but honestly, if you're just looking to get these guys painted, it's a little bit time consuming. So like, we still have those bone detailing, just less of them. We have the skull lantern, which I think would be fun to paint with some glowing eyes. And yeah, very, very interesting unit so far. Now this one in its own right feels like it could be a hero. Like this one is just such a dynamic creature that, you know, this is a varied squad with lots of different sculpts, which I appreciate. Obviously his wings are torn out, but like this guy feels more important than the other ones. Like it feels like he should be the leader of these guys, and the other two should be like squad members. Very similar. These robes are going to be so fun to paint. Like they're very flowing. And we'll probably have to do a tutorial on these guys, just specifically on how to make your robes look nice. With commons coming, there's a lot more to explore for each unit. So looking forward to kind of exploring these and diving deeper. You have the bone emblems and the Revenant. These guys are cool. They definitely feel like they match that Kyrie kind of squad that each general has, or most generals have, even if they're not all Kyries. These guys are so tightly packed. Let's just open them up here. All right, and we have the last one. This is a 4-armed fiend. He's got the skull head, and very similar to the other ones, except he instead of missing an arm, he has 2 extras. This is assumedly one of the Skodire that have 4 arms, but it could also be the ghost of General Grievous. It's definitely hard to tell. But again, these are very large figures. Like this is altogether a lot of like dense plastic in a box, and they're detailed enough that speed paints and contrast paints definitely will make quick work of these if you just want to knock them out, but also have enough there for someone who's more interested in painting to dive in and kind of extrapolate these awesome details. I really like his face. His face definitely comes off a lot more unique in the unpainted render, I'd say. Yeah, these guys are cool. They got some heft to them. I think that's the most significant thing about them. Like they have the large bases, no warping on the bases. What I've seen, it looks like, you know, we got this hard plastic on them now, which has been a bit of a problem. And it looks like they rectified that. And yeah, it's nice, sturdy plastic. It's going to be kind of hard to do some fun basing on these. I honestly wish there was a little bit more space around for cool basing, but you can do some simple basing effects. This guy almost needs something, you know, some skulls at his feet or something. Just to justify all that open area from the posing. I wish he was on 4 legs, honestly. That's my kind of downside, is I like Aura of a Squad that you have different poses like this, but I think having him be a 2-spacer would be pretty unique. And we honestly haven't received many 2-spacers separate from like the huge boxes or the master sets. So it'd be interesting to see some more kind of something like Hounds or Deathstalkers enter the fray. All right, let's look at these little cards in their delicious sandwich bag. All right, so we have the Grave Grim. He's an Omen guard, so you have got guard synergy that you know doesn't fully exist, but you guys can move him more with the Warden. And I'm trying to think if there's any other custom guards. Guards you can work these guys with the the Crypt Guardians in the custom community, the VC community, which I think there's definitely some room to explore there. But guards are definitely a class that has a lot of potential if there's just a strong unified thing to bring them together. But apart from that movement, I think they need a little bit more oomph. He's watchful in a large 6, which I think that is the biggest large 6 you can find. He's a big boy. He is Guide of the Dead. Essentially, after you reveal an order marker, take a turn with the Grave Grim. You can move up to 6 medium or large or small undead figures or Eisenek figures you control up to 3 spaces each. So this guy is a developer, and that seems to be a focus on AOA moving forward, is this sense of development, which I'm a big fan of, because honestly, a lot of times Heroscape is either devoted to commons, where you don't have to worry about management, or you have just lots of units stuck in your start zone, making the game last longer. So bringing units into the fray is always abilities I love seeing. I wish it was a little bit more simpler with just the undead. Throwing Eisenek in, I feel like muddies his theming a bit, but I guess I get because I think the biggest problem I have is I feel like Eisenek aren't undead. They feel, based off their sculpts and their modeling, that there are people who defy death, or they're creatures that defy death and continue living on way past when they should. So I guess it's a form of undeath, but it's more an abomination of life compared to a continuance of death from beyond. So I feel like there's a subtle difference, but maybe it's just semantic. But I mean, as of now, that's just really moving the Roly Boys. I don't think there's any. I think all others are huge. So there's not much like utility there. Of course, if we get some more Eisenek squads in the future, he would have some great usage there. And then we have the Harrowing Presence, pretty much just designed to make Nigoxa have a bad day, where pretty much if you roll a d20 around one of these guys, you subtract 3, which is a pretty significant decrease from the special power ability. So, well, for special power, yeah. So, very interesting. I think for special attacks, I'll have to look into this more, but for special attacks, the D20 roll can never be modified or boosted. So that doesn't affect things like Sujowa's Stinger, because that is linked to the special attack. But for, like Mind Shackle or Acid Breath, D20 reliant abilities, this would work on. And he's got the move 6, attack 4, defense 4, so solid stat spread. Uniquely, this is a 2-life common, which seems to be kind of par for the course for kind of this moving forward. I don't mind, because commons have a lot of utility and more versatility, although I feel like they could be uncommon just to avoid some poor confusion. But there are some sellers out there who are kind of looking to rectify this problem, because the main issue I have is wound tracking and wound marker management. So I don't have the proper size, because they didn't know the sizing for these guys when they released them. But there's some sellers online who offer things like this that typically clip onto the bottom of a base. They would work on the smaller base crabs here. I've been busy painting. I expect a tutorial on that soon. And you can clip it on the bottom of the base and then just put a wound marker there, which is a pretty nifty utility. Because I don't mind wound markers for the commons, but there's got to be some way to kind of keep track of it on the battlefield, lest it just gets, you have 20 wounds on the field. So I think Renegade could definitely look to invest some accessory work into that for ease of gameplay. Overall, a unique card. I think there's definitely some room to be explored with moving undead. I've seen some cool shade builds, as mentioned before, Crypt Guardians. Zombies probably wouldn't work as much, but now you can move your whole vampire swarm together, or of course you can move the Revenant Acolytes as kind of a unit to get 2 squads of those, and you can kind of start moving them. Revenant Acolytes have a very unique abilities here, and they are dead acolytes, which makes sense. They are faithful, which I don't know if anyone else has had that tag before. They have this ability called Hero Worship, where a hero you control who follows Revna attacks with a normal attack or defense. That hero is adjacent to one or more Revenant Acolyte you control. They can reroll 1 die. So it essentially allows you to do that reroll for, it's whiff protection ultimately, or whiff reduction more so that, you roll 2 skulls and a blank, or 2 shields and a blank. You can reroll that. I guess it doesn't have to be a blank, so it's just reroll 1 die. So that actually increases your chance instead of just from a blank. It could be you roll the shield or skull opposite, and you get to reroll it. So there's no limitations on what you want to reroll. And then they have Risen by Revna. At the start of each round, before placing order markers, you can place one of your destroyed Revenant Acolytes onto an empty space adjacent to a hero you control who follows Revna. So, interesting to know about this ability works even after all your Acolytes are killed. So you can kind of send these guys out as a first wave and do as much damage as you can, and they'll slowly, round after round, start coming back. They unfortunately don't have a lot of stat spread in terms of staying power. They have attack 2, defense 2, move 5, range 1. I wish they had one more stat point somewhere, preferably probably in defense, because I don't mind them being attackers, but the low defense means they just have a trouble sticking around, or one more attack so they can cause some damage on the battlefield. But for 40 points, you get 3 figures who can pretty much teleport as soon as they're dead next to a strong Revna hero. And Revna currently has some of the strongest heroes in the game. You have Maladrix, who these guys can work with, and that also allows you to, that double attack. I'm just realizing you can re-roll both because it's not limited once per turn. Each time you attack with a hero, that's normally you can do that. It's great more for defense, because rolling 1 more defense that you whiff on is a lot more impactful, I think, than 1 more skull. Just because wounds are so valuable to prevent from heroes. Some tech here I've seen explored, at least in theory, is that you kill your own Revenant Acolytes as soon as possible. And so you take a turn with a Grave Grim, move them, and attack one of them with the Grim, so that they are always coming back. You want to start with some dead ones on your roster. So even things like Killian, who can kill multiple of them at a time, might be useful just to get some off the field, just to start that regeneration process at high capacity. A very unique take. I'm interested to see how they play in mass compared to just having a few as support. You put them onto an empty space. You can't use them as glyph holders because glyphs count as occupied. But there are some, I think, fun tech yet to explore with these guys. And they're going to be constantly good as more Revna heroes are released. My biggest gripe with these guys is that they don't work the best with the, undead Kyrie, like your Miserex, your Kilkerex. I feel like those are the poor choices for these guys. And you feel like these guys should have made those guys a lot more viable in competitive play. But there's lots of strong Revna heroes, and I think there is definitely some room to see these guys becoming pretty dominant. One last thing I forgot to mention was the Grave Grim planet of origin is from Earth. So this is starting to show that Heroscape Earth is not our Earth. I have lots of thoughts about this. Maybe I'll have to make a own separate video about that as well. More just my personal ramblings on the implications of this. But now we have magical forces and unknown forces coming from Earth, where traditionally they would have defaulted to Phaland, or, I personally would have preferred this thing just to be from Valhalla itself. Like, this is just a Valhallan hound that has found like thin spaces between reality and is able to go to Earth and other places instead of hailing from Earth directly, because it raises a lot of questions on it. But ultimately, if you don't care about the lore, no implications in game. But this does open the room. The reason I'm not entirely down about it is that it does open the room for lots of different things. So now we can have Knights of Camelot with some magic from Earth, which is tough to have kind of this pseudo historical stuff kind of from Earth's history. It also opens the door for like cryptids or things that kind of exist on Earth, but maybe beyond our scope of knowledge or vision. So there's some potential for this Omen tag to definitely get some more buffs in the future. So yeah, that is the Acolytes and the Grim. They're very unique all around. I appreciate the scale and scope of these guys. I have yet to test them out because I just opened them up, but I could see these guys being at least fun to play with in some armies for sure. And so next up on the docket, we have some lava. Hot, fiery lava. I personally am so excited to have this set be released because if you are a classic Heroscape fan, you know that most of your lava terrain looks like this. For some reason, the dies or the structure of the lava terrain of old is just brittle as all get out. Like, most of your terrain is looking like this, and it's just crumbling to lava dust. So it's nice to get a whole fresh new take on the lava, and you know, it's nice to be able to build into, you know, it's a fun terrain gimmick for sure. That you can add, and it looks cool. You know, you want to build Mordor, you want to build fiery pits of despair, doom, you can now, with quite ease. Kind of prior to the release of this, I saw a bunch of people, as I open this in the worst way possible. Prior to the release of this, I saw a lot of people trying to sell their lava terrain because they realized this is a pretty good deal for what you can get compared to the prices of old lava. Well, hit my camera, ruined everything here, but nicely snug and packed. There's over 120 hexes, and it has 24 hex lava fields and lava outcrops. Honestly, I feel like the classic lava set was one of the most disappointing releases, as there was no terrain blockers, it was just a lot of flat land. So now we kind of have some of these classic style rock outcrops and styled in lava, just for map building. I'm excited to see what the community does with that. And here's the back of the box text. As though the devastation wrought by Valhalla's many combatants was insufficient, the very earth itself seemed intent to join in the destruction. Where the many magics and machines of battle split the earth, viscous lava fields erupted and spew molten magma into deadly pools. Those who would dare cross these flaming wastelands must tread carefully, or lose more than just their feet. Their soul. Yeah, so very cool. Love. Interestingly enough, on the box of the lava fields, it seems to have more of a blackened dark look, while on the actual model itself, it's gray, as in how it looks classically. Not really anything to get upset about, but just so you know, it looks slightly different. It actually looks like custom lava I made myself, where I painted, you know, spray painted lava terrain red and painted it black early on in my Heroscape career. So we got a bunch of 5 hexers. I think lava is going to be making a pretty strong comeback into a lot of maps. Look at this here. And got some 3ers. This is a lot of, like, I like this terrain. Like, having more lava, I think, is more unique than having lots of snow. I bought a couple of the snow sets, and I liked it. But, you know, snow doesn't add much to a game, where lava can really change the course of a game, swing it high from casual to competitive. Because lava has some unique abilities that we'll probably go into a bit further. Pretty much at the end of every round, if you're on a lava tile, you roll a combat die. And if you're on a field tile, pretty much you take a wound. So if you're a squad, you would die. And if you're a hero, you would take their respective wound. Lava pools are a lot more deadly here, because if something goes into this pool here, they roll the d20, and I think it's, let me see if they have the instructions here. Yeah, if you roll a 20, you survive. So you have a 5% chance of survival after stepping or being placed into lava. Which is interesting if you do survive, because it doesn't even know, it just says your figure has miraculously survived. So molten lava has a tendency just to completely kill heroes, and many people in the competitive community are calling for a rebalance. I personally love throwing people with Jotun or other characters into hot lava, so I like having a little bit of insta death in my game. And we got the twos here, just kind of talking and going. Very sturdy build. Hey, look, you can do that with your lava tiles, which has never been a thing able to be done before. And we have just a bunch of the singles right here. That's a whole bunch of lava pools right there. I really approve of that. And then I think the biggest change to the tiles are we no longer have like the 3 sprued hold for the respective lava outcrops, as now you have to kind of put them together and build your lava with those 3 together, like so. You do that, and then you line up the holes like that. The problem is it's not kind of universal. You do have to preset it beforehand. So if you're building kind of like level 0 lava, it could be a bit harder to do. Honestly, what I might personally do is glue these together and just kind of glue this onto my lava base. Just so it's always in the right configuration. But I think it's not the end of the world. Honestly, it's the best bet is just to kind of preset it ahead of time on the bottom of the base. That way it does kind of fit. As I mess this up here. And I'm just gonna slide it like that. And then there you go. As you can just kind of, it sticks pretty well in the respective holes, and you can just put it into your battlefield like so. A very unique set. I think it's a little bit heavy on the wash with the 3 lava outcrop, but it does look, looks pretty nice. Honestly, I didn't get a lot of the rock outcrops with the D&D sets, so it's nice to have a few more options. And this is something I've always wanted, is some lava field stuff. I've made some custom based off, you know, repurposed rock outcrops. So it's nice to have them be official in this sense here. For some reason, it's not meant to latch on. There we go. And just opening all these up, building them. This is a great spattering of terrain here for your lava maps. Like honestly, if you're just using Heroscape just for the terrain system, for things like your RPG or D&D, this is a great set to add on to it. We have this background, which if you like to take photos of your miniatures, this is a great thing to hold on to, as you can honestly just put it as a backdrop. It's a little too glossy for most things, but if you set the lighting right, you get a really cool backdrop for your Heroscape photos, which is, if you want to show off your paints, your lava crabs, like, give them a place to rightfully shine. Look at that, it looks kind of cool. So let's see, lava crab test. Lava crabs definitely feel at home on these guys, which I think is important to note. Is that you want your lava crabs feeling safe and sound. And then most excitingly, we have the 24 hex lava. There is lots of fun things that can be done with this. For just building, you can do it just as a whole base layer for maps and then build up if you don't want the whole floor as lava scenario. Or you can kind of set this as your start zone, as kind of a special scenario type where you have to get out of your start zone and just can't hold back, as you'll slowly get cooked one by one. This is what the new tiles look. They have a bit of a thicker granulation, kind of a bit of a heavier particulate compared to the old. You gotta be pretty granular to care about those differences. I honestly would love to see clear red lava tiles, kind of like the shiny tiles, some kind of variations of these just to mix things up. but they're pretty close. These are a bit bigger. These are a bit brighter orange. Here's kind of something more obvious, where you know, it's a bit brighter, but I don't honestly have a problem with it in that regard. But very fun box. This is honestly the third set I have gotten, and there's a lot of just fun, big lava stuff I'm hoping to do. As it's a cool terrain type. It's both tactical and a little bit casual, and there's a lot you can do with it. So I love it. I made some jokes last time and I got booed, so that just means I need to keep on doing that, because that's how I validate praise. If I can make something groan. But yeah, a large spattering of things. Like just the stuff alone makes it really cool. You can go pretty high and tall with this. I think it's the same dimensions as, I feel like this is just, you get so much more of this, I feel like, compared to snow terrain. Because you only get 2 trees and you get like a bunch of lava tiles and a lot of outcrops. You get that 3, which is nice for that kind of asymmetry that Heroscape's known for. Yeah, you just get all this, and this is just one set. I'll post a picture of like 3 sets together just so you can see how much you can do and how you can go. But yeah, you can make lava rivers, and I'm just kind of building here. I'm not even caring about you all anymore. This is just for me. You know, this is pretty cool stuff right here. Just build this as a competitive map and call it a day. Everyone else will figure it out. Lava crabs will reign supreme. And yeah, I'm definitely a fan of this. I'm just like having more lava that doesn't crumble to atoms upon even thinking about them. Yeah, this is going to elevate the look of your battlefield. I'm going to stop playing with this so I can get back to our regularly scheduled program. Lastly, we have our last thing here, which are the glyphs, as some unbold would call them. So glyphs are a very unique addition to Heroscape game. A very strong proponent of creating development of forces to certain, usually less than advantageous areas. They kind of dictate a lot of the flow of the game. So it's great that we have this released with some newer, nicer artwork. And this is a great buy if you were kind of hopping into the game and want to dive more into some of the fun abilities these glyphs have to offer. Back of the box says, no one is certain how old the world of Valhalla truly is. It is a place filled with magic, knowledge, and ancient secrets. While the proud Valkyrie generals fight to find and secure the wellsprings, more common folk turn their attention to other impressive prizes, ancient artifacts of terrible power that can be covered in the most unlikely of places, usually on the far corners left and right of the battlefield. With rewards ranging from blessings of strength to bolts of instant death, only a fool would pass up the opportunity to claim a glyph for themselves. Yeah. Glyphs are a very key important part. I didn't play with them a lot historically when I played Heroscape the younger days, or I played with them wrong, which is worse. I traditionally played, this is not the correct way to play it, but only the creature on the glyph got the bonus, which I realized made it pretty tough for starting glyphs. It kind of broke the game. Okay, so we got all the stuff. A lot of glyphs here. I'm probably just going to read them all and give a summary of what they each do, because it's just a lot. But for your sake, it'll all be in the video here. But let's just open this up. A lot of glyphs. Like, they use the classic art style, which is interesting, perhaps, or very similar. Looks like a lot of this is buried in sand. And we also have the addition of treasure glyphs into the modern setting, which were introduced in D&D. I personally love treasure glyphs. Anything that boosts the power of unique heroes, and I often squad late in game. I'm a proponent of. Pretty much treasure glyphs. I'm gonna look at the rules, but only unique heroes can pick these up, and can be pretty much affects only the character that is picking it up. And a hero can hold any number of these. These are literal like boons of treasure that you can find on the battlefield. I wish these were played with more because they're so fun, and I honestly, a lot of glyphs and modern competitive get a little bit dull, whereas these can really boost one figure instead of compared to your whole army like traditional glyphs. The rulebook does go over all these, but just the feel and the weight of all these. Elixir speed, move +4 to your hero. We have Belt of Giant Strength, attack +2. Symbol of Palor, attack 2 versus undead. Giant Hunter Stone, 1 die versus large or huge. Brooch of Shielding. I don't know which one of these are classic and if any of these are new. I'll have to definitely look into that more. Honestly, I don't have a strong knowledge of glyphs. That's why I don't have as much to say. But for the most part, they're great to have on the battlefield. And usually you want about 1 for each player in a game. I've played like Glyph Madness games where you put like 20 glyphs on the board with like Might and Soul and all that kind of crazy nonsense, which is fun. I think it's a fun game mode to play, but it's not the strictest competitive. Unnatural Revival. I want to see what that one does here. The artwork again is very classically oriented. I love the style. Compared to kind of the clip art PNG versions we have. And this book is a convenient thing to have, honestly, because I always am like, what does Astrid do? Or what does Brandar's chest do? Unnatural Revival. So that's an ancient artifact treasure glyph. They're powerful and rare. An army can control more than 1 ancient. So you can never have more than 1 copy of the artifact glyph. So there's only 1 of each. Oh wow, so after you reveal an order marker, you can place 1 previously destroyed unique figure in any empty space within 5 clear sight spaces of this figure. Wow. And then make an attack with that figure and then destroy the placed figure. Oh, so pretty much once... So pretty much a unique hero gets to take a turn and attack with another one. I have to see how that stacks with double attack or what the limitations are on this. And it's not boosted by anything. So you pretty much get an extra attack from a hero, which is pretty interesting. And then we have the Bolts of the Witherwood, which is previously, I think, an exclusive online treasure glyph. If my lore is correct, pretty much you roll a 16 or higher, you get a Steal Atlaga's ability and Merciful. Interestingly enough, I don't think they changed any of the D&D names from their prior D&D iteration to this integration. So I'll double check all that, but they all feel very much like still have that D&D styling to them, which is interesting. Okay, we got all the classic glyphs as well. I believe this right here is for the negation glyph, which removes someone's ability. It's definitely worthwhile going through the book and knowing what all these do. They give little summaries at the bottom of each glyph, but sometimes there's more rules associated with them. Like the pit trap glyph is has like a set of rules to it where you fall down a pit and have to get out. But some are just defense +1. That's just or like defense +1, the defense for your whole army +1, which is pretty strong. Definitely, if you play with glyphs, consult on the community forums to know which ones are fun and which ones are fun in a different way. Like I love Might and Soul, but it's definitely not one you want for a competitive game, because it can just destroy your whole army, and it takes a long time because you have to roll a d20 for each one, and I think it's a 1 that figure is destroyed, and that's for each figure in your army, not card. So it can take a bit of time. Glyph highlights definitely include Wanok is a great glyph to have in your armies, as depending on map and type, as you can pretty much at the end of the round, if you roll higher than a 2, I believe, higher than 2 or higher, so higher than a 1, the other opponent has to choose to take a wound, which is really interesting. It helps prevent camping, and is good for some end-game states. I've played some games where I just wish there was a Wanok on the board, so I don't have to go against someone who is just refusing to move, because ultimately that's kind of the death of the game, is if people don't move, if both sides just don't approach each other. So Wanok helps mitigate that. Valda is a great one, just +2 movement to help melee overcome that range oppression. Don't use Jalgard if you want to get home time for dinner, because it gives +2 defense to your whole army. But it can be fun in certain scenarios where there's a round limit or a timer limit, and you just have that in more of a disadvantageous spot. It's kind of king of the hill. Pretty much most glyphs that let you stay on a glyph longer are typically not treated as super competitive, just because like things that boost defense or survivability, because ultimately glyphs should be switching back and forth between people that hold them. But things like unique attack +1 is really great to have, because then it boosts your unique units, even your squads. And here's the negation for this one here. But yeah, definitely a great thing to add to your Heroscape collection if you're looking to kind of add some nice looking variety and spice to the game. These feel nice, they look nice, probably taste nice. don't eat them. And yeah, these are the forbidden crisp, so don't eat them. And that's it. That's pretty much the remainder of Boiling Tensions. I'm looking forward to revealing the next arc that comes out in October, as I believe that one's called Rising Tides, and that one's going to be great. Lots of more great units. Of course, I have an affiliate link down below that you can check out if you're looking to get some of these awesome hexagons into your line. And by clicking that link, you help the channel at no additional cost to you. Of course, you can find all this stuff elsewhere at any place that sells it. And be sure to subscribe for more Heroscape content. Coming off a bit of a busy season, and we have a lot more painting and deep dives into all things Heroscape. So be on the lookout for that, and thanks for watching.